Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Crossy's Corner. I have got an amazing guest today. Naukkarinen, the rowing Finn, who is one of the most incredible athletes, I think, on the earth that I've come across. And you'll find out why during this broadcast. Lovely to see you, Joel.
Thank you, Martin. Nice to see you.
Now, you are in a special room, I know, and let's talk about it's special because of all those medals and things that you've got behind you.
Yeah, there are some of my medals. I cannot find place for all of them.
Have you ever bothered to count them?
Not all the medals, but for example, the Finnish championship medals, I have exactly 200.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite medal, Joel?
Not sure. I think many of the world rowing championships in indoor rowing or coastal rowing, some of those are my favorite, but I cannot name one.
Yeah. So there's something else special about this room as well. We were talking about just before we came on air.
Yes, this is my self-made high altitude environment. I have used my understanding in human physiology and physics to build this room to high altitude. And this is not the only one. I have built several other rooms, or actually even a couple of apartments to high altitude. Also.
What do you do when you build a high altitude room? How does it work? Can you just make any room into a high altitude room?
No, or maybe it requires a lot of things with insulation and air conditioning and adjusting all of those, and then buying proper generators to bring in the nitrogen. I think that's the safest and most practical way to make a high altitude environment. It's not the only one, but the best.
Wow. So how high are you now as we're talking to you?
Right now in 3,500 meters.
So
But today earlier I was in the 5,000 when I did my training session.
you train at 5,000 meters. What were you
Yes,
doing? What were you
today,
doing? What training session were you doing at 5,000 meters?
today it was easy cycling and easy skiing. I had a really demanding day yesterday when I did my hardest session of the week, and it was for the neuromuscular system very intensive. That's why I also broke two ergometer handles in that training session.
I
But
saw I saw that
yeah,
on Instagram. You wanted a
yeah,
stronger so were you do you train you don't train at 5,000 meters for a hard session, I'm guessing.
no,
What do you
maybe
train?
short intervals. I was actually doing quite high, but um, this session today was the easiest possible session for a neuromuscular system. So my intensity is minimal, like 120 watts on watt bike or skier. What I
Yeah.
was doing, and that's almost like nothing, just sitting on the bike. And, because the conditions are demanding enough, both high altitude and also I was doing heat training same time, very hot and humid conditions. So I can keep the intensity minimal and still get some adaptations from that and recover from yesterday's demanding session.
So in 24 hours, how many hours would you spend in your altitude room?
More the better. I try to spend as much as possible, and I think now these 3 months now started, which I started from December, will be my most demanding high altitude training camp.
Oh my god. So I know you are a new father, and so I'm wondering how does that work with your family?
Yeah, I'm sleeping in different room, obviously, but previously when I was in a lower altitude to sleep together. But now this is too hard for
Yeah.
Ida and Matilda.
So tell me, I know you are a doctor and you've got this really strong connection with neurophysiology, but in terms of the benefits that you've seen to your physiology from altitude training, could you explain what some of them have been over the years?
Yeah, I think in the beginning I already noticed huge effects from high altitude training, but they were not only positive. So I think I felt that my aerobic system uh, and the many adaptations which are positive made my, for example, affecting my 2K ergometer score like mm, minus 10 seconds or something like that. How much easier it felt. But at the same time, there was many disadvantages which cost actually much more. And some races I was barely able to finish. I think then the overall effect was much making me slower.
Oh, really?
Yes, in the beginning. But when I learned to use these conditions and adjust my training plan and take care of my recovery and counting everything, it started to work better. And the last couple of years have been actually quite good.
So I'm guessing that increases your level of hemoglobin in your blood. That there's been a significant increase in that.
In the beginning, yes, but that's maybe not always the positive thing because it can be also because of the dehydration, which these conditions will cause. Mm. But it's the total hemoglobin mass and total blood volume which makes the difference on performance, not just the concentration, because it doesn't say anything about the amount.
Okay. So in terms of altitude training, of all the things that you do, so I know we can talk about the coastal, the beach sprint, the classic rowing, and a number of distances in terms of indoor rowing and the famous Versa Challenge. What really does your altitude training benefit the most out of all of those?
I have tried to learn to get benefit from that for all of those distances and different sports. But maybe the first what I was able to do, where I got the benefit, was my very long distance stuff. And actually, after 1 year of doing high altitude training, I was able to break the 100K world record on ergometer. That happened 2018. And after that, the next steps were actually uh, those marathon world records, which I broke both on static.
So
Sorry, did you hear me? Is our connection okay?
yeah, it was going in and out a little bit, I have to say, but I could hear you okay now. You were just talking about your 100 kilometer world record. I can't get my head around doing 100 kilometers on the rowing machine.
Yeah, that's great. I'm not encouraging anyone to do that. Recovery takes long.
Why did you choose to do it then?
Hmm. It was exciting challenge.
In what way? Describe how that was exciting.
I have done many very long distance performances previously, maybe more before I was a rower. For example, I think I'm holding still under 19 Nordic walking 24-hour world record. And,
24 hours.
yes, have done that 4 times.
Do you
when I
mean
was
without
junior.
sleep?
Yes.
What are the what you sit on the rowing machine apart from toilet breaks for 24 hours?
That sport was Nordic walking with sticks. I was walking 120 kilometers in a day or in 24 hours when I was a junior, under 19 category.
Wow.
So I have experience from those long distance endurance events, and
Yeah.
I really like the challenge, especially the mental side, what you are facing in those performances. So that's why I wanted to do 100K on year. Maybe later, after the Olympics, I'm going to do 24 hours, but definitely not before that.
Um. Yo, it's quite interesting. I've talked to a lot of athletes, and their idea, even when they were young, uh, you know, uh, they're doing hard sessions on the rowing machine. They're doing like 20 kilometers at a very at UT1 or near to anaerobic threshold. But it's not. I've not spoken to anyone who, as a teenager, wanted to aim to do 24 hours. So what as an endurance challenge. So what was it? When did you start to think about having these challenges in your life? And what was it about your character that generated that?
Yeah, I think it all starts why I started the sports at all. It was part of seeking who I am and searching my limits. And after doing something crazy, one day I decided to do like 12-hour strength training at my own gym when I was maybe 14 years old. And I, I can say that I was very sore after that. And at the end, the last 1 or 2 hours, I was able to barely lift my arms. Uh, but it, I didn't do it because it would have been smart or that I was training for some sport or anything like that. I was searching my limits.
Yeah. Um. Have you found your limits yet?
According to my latest results, no. But when I started, I would have never imagined that I could go this far or even much earlier. I think I would have believed that I would not my limits.
So I'm guessing, presumably, you are working with other medical professionals or coaches, trainers. So could you describe your support setup for us?
Mm. My coaching team consists about 10 persons at the moment, different coaches on different fields, and we are working closely, especially when we are doing my physical training program. And at the moment, I've practiced a lot in Spain during the last 1.5 years, and there is my rowing coach, Lionel Jimenez, in Alicante.
Yeah. So how does it work? How were you able to? Because I know you are a professional rower. That's what you describe yourself as. Um, so how does that work? Does the Finnish government support sports people like you, or do you have sponsors, or is it a mixture of the two?
Mm, Actually, the government or the Olympic Committee or the federation, I've got during these years almost zero. So it's 100% these sponsors of mine who has made this possible.
Do you want to tell us who your sponsors are? Because I'm sure people would be interested.
Yes, this year, Lisa Palvelu is at the moment my biggest sponsor. Um, Here is a leader, which is a sport supplement sponsor, a very high quality brand in Finland. Uptake is also a little bit supplements, but also medicine. Dog Money Velo 2, which is a breathing device, and there are some else, and these are not all, because many companies these days they even don't want their ad to be visible. And one I need to mention, which actually the contract was made last week. It was Mobia and their software and platform Competence X, which is like a educational platform.
Oh wow! So we were talking. We talked properly for the first time, I think, at the European Coastal and Beach Bridge Championships, and you were in the middle of an incredibly busy schedule. Perhaps you could maybe describe what your 2025 competitive season was like and how you make that work.
We can start from those Europeans. And even there, my schedule was quite busy. I was doing both the endurance and beach sprint, and both in two different boat classes. I was doing the single and mixed double with Eva Kartinen. First, in Friday, we did the endurance. I was doubling up, and then Saturday and Sunday also doubling up in beach sprint. But again, I was a little bit testing what I'm capable of and what's the optimal amount of racing starts. Better to test all that now, not in the Los Angeles or the year before.
Yeah, and you were also you were talking about your training camp that you do in Alicante. So you had the Europeans, and then there was a training camp before the World Championships where you raced in the World Championship beach sprint because there were no long distance coastal in that. And then there was a very quick turnaround between that and was it the Versa Challenge? No, in Monaco. You were in Monaco, weren't you?
Yes, also. I've been traveling all the time the last 9 months. I've been home in my home city of Kuopio 3 days this year.
3 days. Oh wow, that's
Yes.
incredible.
This now I'm in the city of Kouvola, which is there in the southern Finland, and here I have built this my Olympic training center where I'm training my physiology.
Yeah, and did I understand right that you have also built an altitude training room in your in Alicante?
There I have been using the masks and the tent systems so far, but at the moment I'm looking for an apartment there, and I'm going to build that apartment to high altitude where I'm going to spend next 2.5 years before the Los Angeles. With Ida and Patina.
Okay, right. So let's talk about the events you've done. Let's go backwards. So you were in the Versa Challenge. I think you finished behind a Swedish guy in second place,
Yes.
which was probably a new position for you because I think you've won it.
Yes, previously I have won it.
So how was that Versa maybe you can tell us about the Versa competition, what it is,
Yeah.
and how what were your experience like this year?
Yeah, in Versa Challenge, it has been held now 3 times, once every year from 2023. It's always a live event. First time in Mississauga, Toronto, second time in Prague, and now in Singapore. And it consists of 5 different challenges, and those are usually not told beforehand. So the competitors don't know what they are participating in. And then it's a lot about strategy and understanding those challenges and making the right plan for each of them.
So when you found out what the challenges were, I mean, on this year's Versa Challenge, what were you thinking?
Mm, They told us the challenge is 1 week before the event. So quite close when we were all traveling to Singapore.
And did you think, oh, great, this suits me? Or did you think, oh, no, that's not my thing?
This year, because I finished then my on-water competition season like 5 days before the Versa Challenge, and I had those 5 days to train or rest for the Versa Challenge. It was difficult to balance that, but it was not favoring me, and also I was not so happy about the challenges this year. Previous times it has been more endurance based event, and it has been okay for me. But this year it was a lot about sprinting stuff and some very technical games. So there was only one challenge out of 5, which was like a normal endurance sport.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was wondering how you prioritize. So because you were doing so much coastal rowing and beach sprint rowing, I'm assuming that was your priority for this year, and you could do the Versa because you were the Versa champion, double Versa champion, but it was essentially coastal and beach sprints that was most important for you.
Yes, I went there practically without training in Singapore.
Yeah. And how does next year look for you in terms of timing?
I think now towards the Olympics, I'm going to focus more and more on coastal rowing and especially beach sprint. And we already made a training plan for that.
Okay, so that was the Versa Challenge. So I saw you in the Europeans where you were phenomenal in the 6 kilometer coastal challenge, and won the European title in that event. So I'm guessing that in terms of that is your best sort of that's your strongest suit, the strongest part of the skills that you have, as opposed to the beach sprint, which is, I don't know, 1 minute 30 seconds, 1 minute 40 seconds.
Or
So
the overall duration of the beach sprint is maybe more 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
sorry, yeah, 2 minutes. Yeah, I was trying to search for the time. Is that how you see it, or is that not right?
At least this year, I think I did very well on endurance distance. Uh, Already in spring, I don't know if the connection was earlier good enough. So you heard that when I did 8 different world records last spring, most of them were between 2K and 1 hour, mostly around 30 minutes, which has previously been my weakness actually.
Yeah,
But I've been working a lot with my endurance. Previously, I was like 100% sprinter type, but the last 5 years I've been trying to change that so that I would be better on 2K. And now finally I've been able to change that and build that endurance. And then I've been living in Spain, where I've been practicing all those different skills required in a coastal rowing race. And I think already one very promising result came from Spanish championships, which was in August.
yeah,
I won their men's single and the double with Miguel Salas, my club mate. He was also doing very well in World Championships. They won a silver medal. And then in mixed double, we were second behind Ander Martin and his own partner, and also in quad we were in second place. So in 2 days I won 4 medals in Spanish championships, and in the single I was leading by 30 seconds, and I felt that it was surprisingly easy, even though there was a very good competitors with me. For example, Adrian Viraman Quiroga, who has won the most medals in the coastal rowing in total, and my teammate Miguel Salas.
Yeah.
Winning the bronze.
How then did you evaluate, or what did you think about your performance in the European beach sprint and in the World Beach Sprint Championships this year?
Yeah, I think my beach sprint results at the late season were not as good as earlier in the season. I felt stronger and better during the summer, and even in Spanish championships on the beach sprint, which were in September. There I was second behind Miguel, and Ander Martin was on the bronze, and Adrian Miraman Quiroga fourth. The level was very high in Spanish championships.
Yeah.
So I think that was my best beach sprint race this year. But then with Eva, we did fine in Baltic championships and in the Worlds. Even we didn't have much training together, but we have rowed previously together and felt that our rowing speed is very good for the mixed double.
Yeah.
And, our style and roles in the boat and rigging and everything works very well in that discipline. And now we started to work with that on the beach sprint too, and we finished ninth in the World Championships, which was okay. But my single was I didn't feel right.
Yeah.
I think I didn't make it to the last 16 in the World Championships this year.
Yes.
Which I was very, very disappointed, because that was still my main focus. And my best accomplishment by far is the World Champs bronze medal in Wales 22.
Yeah, yeah. How are you with disappointment? How do you deal with when the results don't go your way?
I have learned to cope with that, and we have in Finland one silly game which actually helped me to deal with losing a race. It was 2018. It was a difficult season for me in flat water rowing. I did quite many poor results that I was very, very disappointed. But then I realized that it's the same in elite sports than in this silly Finnish yard game. That if I focus on the disappointment, it doesn't help the next round at all. It actually makes it worse. So the sooner you can forget the bad result, just take what you learned from that, take that with you, and then the focus already on the next goal. That's the way to do better.
Yeah, yeah. How much of that is developed from your understanding of neuroscience?
Maybe this one is nothing what I've learned with neuroscience, but maybe it's related to sports psychology very closely.
Yeah.
And I've worked a lot with that topic too. I've had many psychological or sport psychology coaches in my team in the last more than 10 years.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot from them.
How do you apply your understanding of neuroscience to your training or your life?
Quite a lot, especially the last 5 years, because actually my PhD research is about fatigue and endurance, and what happens in the brain when one perceives fatigue or willpower to continue. And I think it's exactly what matters in endurance sports because everyone has trained their physiology to the top level, and but still your performance may vary day to day. And I think most of that happens here.
Ha. Yeah. Yeah. Um, so it's kind of if you understand this, the brain is the last frontier in that sense of
Yes,
where you explore and you push forward.
yes, yes. And it's also adjusting everything what happens in our bodies. So it defines the physiological environment for your chances to succeed on that day.
So could you give us an example of something that you've changed or developed in your training or your life because of your research into neuroscience?
Maybe the most simple, but not the fanciest, is I have learned to listen to myself, especially listen to need for recovery. Uh, you don't need to be a neuroscientist to understand that.
Yeah.
But then there has been many other small details that I have learned to adjust, especially with this high altitude environment, because it affects with the sleep, it affects the brain function in many ways, and how your perception of effort changes when you are doing training in the sea level or here in high altitude environment. With those, it's like double-sided sword. You can improve your physiology, and all your numbers measured in the laboratory can be top, but then you are still doing it more on the field. So it's also how the environment where you are training affects your perception of effort and intensity, and how quickly you get tired, especially mentally.
Yeah, yeah. Um, One thing I wanted to ask you because I don't know, and you may not know, is what do you know about how the qualification for the beach sprint in Los Angeles will happen or be organized?
I heard that 27 World Championships top six in singles and mixed double will qualify, and then there will be like a continental qualifications regattas later, and there
Ah,
are like three more spots for European rowers.
so how many crews will be in? How many European crews will be in the beach sprint uh, contest in Los Angeles?
That's very difficult to say because what I have heard also it's possible to double up in the Olympics, and if you have qualified, for example, men's solo and women's solo, they can combine mixed double, and so that can affect the number of participants in both classes. And for example, if I have understood correctly, if the country has qualified the mixed double, those rowers can also do the solo, and they
Oh,
are separate
really?
days. Yeah, but I'm not 100% sure about this, but this is what I have heard.
Yeah. Okay. So I can understand how much you want to be a part of Los Angeles and to be in the Olympic Games, and I know you have tried in flat water to qualify both for Paris and Tokyo, I think.
Correct.
Um, so when you look back on your campaign, your efforts to qualify for those Olympics, what comes up in terms of what do you know how do you look at them?
My previous Olympic campaigns.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, the first time when I tried to qualify to the Olympics was 2016 to Rio.
Oh, okay.
That was in the men's pair with Antti Kilpeläinen. Then we tried to qualify to Tokyo in men's double with Olli-Pekka Karppinen, a cousin of Eva's. And then to Paris, I tried to qualify in single. So, 3 different boat classes, but not so successful so far in that sport. And if I compare my results in flat water rowing to my indoor rowing results or coastal rowing results, that sport has been the most challenging for me, and I think it is also the most competitive, which has led partly to those results. But in flat water rowing, I think where I have most to improve is my rowing technique, and that might be still also the case with coastal rowing, but there I have found already better ways to move that boat and to do those maneuvers in that sport very well, and other parts.
Yeah. You mentioned the name Karppinen. Obviously, Eva is the daughter, I think, of Pertti Karppinen, who has got those 3 Olympic gold medals. How significant is he in sort of Finnish rowing or in your career?
Well, he is inspirational, and he has been a part of the Finnish national team, helping us in so many ways and so many races during these years and all my career. Last years he has been not with us anymore, but he's following very, very closely and always giving advice when Eva, for example, asks advice before the competition or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wonder, when you were talking about your flat water technique, say in the single, can you give us an idea of what you thought you needed to do better, or how you needed to scull more effectively to go the speed you wanted to?
I think it's how I apply power in the boat, how I move the boat and make those watts to boat speed, how I'm doing the catch and finish of the stroke, how I'm using my legs and body to lever the boat past the blade. I think those are important things. My style has been a lot about pulling the oar, not so much pushing of the foot stretcher, and it has been very difficult for me to make that correct.
Oh, that's really interesting. So what is the crossover, if any, between your technique in, say, the single and your technique on the rowing machine? Because presumably on the rowing machine, you're pushing the foot stretcher as opposed to pulling the handle, or is that not what you're doing?
I think on the rowing machine, the only thing that matters is actually how much you are pulling the handle,
Oh,
because
really?
that accelerates the flywheel and that defines the speed or watts on that machine. Actually, the straight relationship, how much you are pushing the foot stretcher, doesn't matter in that sport. Obviously, you need to use your legs, but if you measure forces from the handle and foot stretcher, the main thing is the handle in that sport. But in the boat or on the water, it changes, and then it's different. There, I've learned that the more I pull the handle, the quicker the rowing stroke is. But actually, I'm accelerating the total mass of the system less. I'm accelerating the boat, not the rower, and that's why the total system. I need to spend more time pushing the foot stretcher and accelerate myself, and then keep moving the boat.
So I'm just thinking about your technique on the rowing machine. Has it always been the same, or have you introduced any changes to the way you row when you're going hard on the rowing machine?
Yeah, I've learned something every year, and that has I think that's necessary if you want to do better results. If you don't change anything, the results will be same. And just improving your physiology is not the key because you also need to be able to make that power to better numbers in the street. So then it means also doing things better with your technique. And I think in rowing it's very typical that many athletes actually reach their top shape quite early during their career, but after that they can still keep improving their results because of they learn to do it better. They become more efficient.
So, what are you now? Are you 32 or 33, Joel?
To
So, what sense do you have of when you will reach a physiological peak in your performance? When does that happen? Or in terms of what you know about medicine or um, neuroscience, what are your thoughts on that?
According to that understanding, I would have expected that I would have reached my limit already much earlier. But still, the last years I've done absolutely my best results. And I see some slowing down, but I think I can still improve 2 or 3 more years and make my absolutely best numbers before the LA.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so, in terms of your records, maybe you could just talk us through the records a little bit and give us some idea of what each of those records. Is it 14 world records that you had on the concept two?
Yeah, and it's changing because some of those are being broken, and then I'm creating new records. But approximately, I think about 10 like open category records, and then in age group records, approximately 10 more.
So maybe you could talk us through those records and you know what it took to break that record.
Yeah, the longest one I mentioned earlier that was 100K, and the shortest one has been not mine anymore. It's 100 meters. So quite a lot of variety between those two extremes. Mm, those two are very old ones. 2 years uh, earlier, I did marathon world records that are maybe most famous ones. Uh, I did marathon on slides with the average 138.7 or 6, and also before 1 month before that, I did the sub 140 on the static marathon. So that means like 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Wow. So when you're on the rowing machine, what are you doing in terms of like do you like some people if they're doing really long distances they put on a TV or certainly listen to music with headphones, or some people just look at the screen or listen to the sound of the wheel going round. What do you do? What's your focus when you're rowing?
I like the last one. The last one most.
Ah,
But
why?
uh, I, this is how I see it as an athlete and also neuroscientist. You need to be present what you are doing. Otherwise, you are really not training the full system, especially your neuronal side. You can train your physiology by watching TV and keeping the same intensity. But if you want to develop many psychological and motor skills in rowing, you need to be present if you are doing. So then
Yeah,
watching the screen, paying attention on how you feel when you are doing that rowing stroke, how you are relaxing your muscles during recovery, how you are paying attention what goes in your mind, and are those thoughts meaningful for the uh, performance or the task ongoing or not, and how you can learn to change them and so on. But I must mention that I also like to listen to music, and when I'm rowing, but I see that it's different than watching television. Music affects to the brain in many different ways, and watching the screen or paying attention to something total different object.
So, given that, so what choice of music, if you do listen to music, that in terms of its impact on your brain, what sort of music has the most beneficial impact on your brain for you?
Mhm. I think there is two important factors. One is a rhythm of the music that has been also studied, I think also in rowing, and they have been trying to solve what is the optimal rhythm of the song and which one would be like the best possible song for ergometer 2K or something like that. But then the second thing is very individual, and how the music affects your motivation, focus, and how you are actually be better able to be present in that moment. So the music can be a tool to be better present with rowing than being without it.
Ah, and could you tell us, do you have a favorite piece of music that achieves that for you?
Mm. There are many different songs, but I like to listen heavy metal when I'm rowing.
Yeah, that's I was going to say that. I was thinking he's from Finland and he's heavy metal. Yeah, yeah,
Yes, must be.
yeah. So
And
when you
I must mention that there are a couple of special songs, especially different rocky soundtracks from those different movies, because that has been the reason why I started the sport. Uh, my first sport was actually boxing, and I started it because of those movies. But quite soon I realized that I'm not fast enough for that sport, but my endurance was good and it was easy to gain strength for me. And then I was thinking, what would be the sport where you should be both very strong and have good endurance? And then I found rowing. This is perfect.
what weight did you used to box at?
Uh, sorry, sorry, what
Yes.
did you ask?
No, I was just thinking of you as a boxer and wondered, were you a heavyweight boxer or?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
that was in my when I was still junior. When I
Okay.
was 15 years old.
Right. Okay. Um, why did you decide to do study medicine then, to be a doctor? And where does that fit into your being a professional rower?
I think that happened by accident.
Okay.
Uh, Look, it's very complicated story. Uh, I was never expected to go even senior high school, but somehow I ended up there. Also, long story, and I decided to give a try. How well I can do in the school if I try, because I couldn't get to the school where I tried to get, and then my grades were best possible from the beginning of the senior high school, and uh, then we had a meeting with I don't know the English word for that person, but who helps to guide career paths.
Yeah,
Yeah, for the
careers
study.
counselor. Careers
Yeah,
counselor.
yeah,
Yeah.
and because she was wondering why I at all had ended up to senior high school, and my plans sounded so weird. she was asking what I will be become later if that plan is not going to happen, and I was a little bit disappointed because even why I ended up to the senior high school was Plan B, and then we are already from the beginning of the high school thinking another Plan B and Plan B, and then I answered to the question the first most demanding career that popped to my mind, and that I said then I will be a heart or brain surgeon. And I did well in the high school after that, and then I ended up to study medicine.
Wow. And it's not just that you study medicine, because you're also doing a PhD.
Or I graduated as a medical doctor 22, and the last day in school I applied to the doctoral program.
Wow. So I'm wondering, so how has becoming a father impacted your life in the sense of, that the focus that you put onto your training and competition? What has changed, if anything?
Mm, I think my focus haven't changed. I'm
Mm,
very happy about this. This whole year has been very exciting. Also, the
yeah,
last months of Ida's pregnancy, and when the Matilda was born, and she will be soon 6 months. So all this year has been very special. But this year also I have done my best results on the ergometer during the spring, and I did well every race during the summer and early autumn, and then quite well still in the Beach Sprint World Championships.
yeah.
Monaco was fine, and also the Versa Challenge was fine. I'm not disappointed to this season. It has been the best one so far.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We didn't actually cover that. Actually, in Europeans, I doubled the mixed double and single, and I won the European title in both of those races, not just in the double.
Yeah, that was amazing, and it was a privilege to be there to see you do that and to commentate on it. So how do you relax? I'm thinking you're not a man with hobbies.
These are my hobbies. This same. These are my careers.
Yeah, yeah. Did I see that you are going to try and break 1,000-meter world record or a record?
Yeah, we were planning that with my coaching team, and to change now my abilities towards beach sprint requirements. We are now focusing on strength and conditioning side to that sport specific power output. And, we were thinking that 1K world record would be a good side goal during that process.
What is the one? What's the current record? Is it on? Presumably you'll do it on sliders, I'm guessing.
No, I was planning to do that on the static rowing machine.
Okay.
Maybe
What
in the World Championships in February.
and what is the record currently standing?
It's 2 minutes and 39 seconds and some things.
Wow.
So 119 point something, and it's done by Phil Clark.
Oh, Phil Clapp. Yeah, big Phil Clapp. Right. Um,
Yes.
so how do you feel about taking that record on?
I think I've done already so many records, so I wanted one which is more challenging and which would be something phenomenal, but still good for the sport that I'm training for now. So that's why we ended up aiming for 1K.
That's really interesting. So I guess you've got you've got the World Indoors, which is coming in February. Will you do anything flat water, or will it be all focused on beach sprints and coastal?
It depends on the international and national schedule of those sports. This year, combining those two was very difficult because we had our selection races in coastal rowing same time with the World Cups. So I was not able to participate in the World Cups, and then I had no chance to qualify to the World Championships
Yeah.
in our federation. And let's see how is the schedule this year. It's not published yet, so I don't know if I can participate in flat water, but I hope that I can because I see that if I can increase my rowing speed in flat water rowing, it will help me a lot in the beach sprint and coastal rowing.
So one of the things I noticed that World Rowing put out its the nominations for male crew of the year and female crew of the year, and in both categories, they have got a beach sprinter, Emma Twigg for female crew of the year, and Chris Back in male crew of the year. To me, that seems like a deliberate strategy to put more focus on beach sprints. What's your take on that?
I think so too. And both of those athletes that you mentioned are phenomenal athletes. I mean, they are doing so well, not just in beach sprint. Emma Twigg, of course, is like an elite rower, world star in flat water rowing too. And also, what I know, Chris Beck has been doing flat water rowing. He's a great athlete. And,
Yeah.
I must mention that they also nominate one nominates as a coach of the year is Mark Oria.
Yes. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think he has done exceptional work as a coach, leading to the success of US team in beach sprint and coastal rowing all these many years already before, but also this year they won so many medals in the beach sprint championships this year. So
yeah,
that's exceptional.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think they have got the Romanian who took over from Colomanici, Dorian Alupai, and Diedrich Simon, who coached the Dutch 8 that won the world title for the first time ever, and Mark Auria. And I kind of I looked at it and I thought, well, if Mark wins, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too. Even though all of those coaches are world class coaches, like top coaches in these sports.
Yeah. So yeah, a bit of a loaded question. I mean, do you think World Rowing is doing enough to talk about how great beach sprint is, or to publicize beach sprint ahead of its inclusion in the Los Angeles Olympics?
I see that they have been trying, and but what is enough? I think there is still so much for the sport potential to grow, and I think what we have accomplished is still quite minimal compared to that potential.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. So Joel, have you done your Christmas shopping yet?
No, and mostly this month and the next month I'm going to live in this room mostly. So I think I need to skip my.
Oh, so will you
Christmas
do?
shopping.
Will you do it? You can do it online, presumably.
Not bad idea.
Yeah, and so how are you going to spend? Is Christmas Day? Is when do people in Finland celebrate Christmas? Do they celebrate it on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, or what do people in Finland do?
think the peak is still the Christmas Eve. And that evening, maybe from depends on the big families, but maybe from 3 o'clock, the full evening is the most special day of Christmas, and the next 2 days is more kind of for the kids. It's definitely the Christmas Eve. They get the presents.
Yeah,
Then,
yeah.
and then also on the Christmas Eve, meeting family and the close relatives, and then more people on the Christmas Day and the following day.
And where will you be on Christmas Eve? Will you be with family, or will you be in your altitude room?
I will spend some time in this altitude room also, but not 24 hours. I think
Oh, that's
I'm going to spend time with my family and especially with Ida.
That's good. That's good to know. That's good to know. Well, Joel, we've been talking for over an hour now. It's been amazing listening to you. You're quite an amazing person and an amazing athlete, and your psychology, I think, is completely unique in terms of people that I've talked to, and it's been utterly fascinating for me to spend an hour in your company.
Thank you so much, Martin. That's a privilege to hear that from you.
Wow. I will see you in the new year, in the new season, but we'll end the live part of this interview now. Naukkarinen.
Thank you.